Well, what is going on? It is a happy Friday and, of course, International Women's Day. Shout out to all the women out there because, you were born a woman and we need to celebrate that fact. Now, I want to remind you all that I am on Twitter at twitter.com/thequartering. If you're not following me there, that's where I interact with you most people most often. If you don't use Twitter, totally understand. But you definitely want to give me a follow there as I generally ask you all what the topics of the day should be there. Now, today I've got two videos. One on the lowest scored reviewed Marvel movie of all time has now been achieved. And Rotten Tomatoes is deleting over 90% of reviews. And I'll show you the evidence and what we can do as valid critics and filmgoers to make sure our voices are heard. Now, when you look at today's scores for Captain Marvel, you will see the audience has given it a record low 36%. You'll also notice, I should probably refresh this because scores are disappearing right before my eyes often, 36%. But also the tomato meter has dropped down to 81%. Now I want to have just a moment with just us friends here, right? I mean, nobody else is watching or listening, and obviously this movie's probably not a 30%. Everybody knows that. But it's also not a 100%. Everybody knows that. And when you look at a lot of the rhetoric around review brigading, right? A lot of it is about, well, it's everybody's review brigading. This is why it's that bad. And we should all, be deleting all of our poor scores. But is it though? Is it really about getting rid of just the bad scores? Because when we look at, for example, I saw Joe tweet out, and no disrespect, Joe. Joe, the spirit of what Joe is saying here is not incorrect, okay? He says, oh, Joe, no one is review brigading Captain Marvel. It's a wanna-see rating on Rotten Tomatoes, not a review. And then he shows a graph on IMDb where, there's 3,500 votes of one. And then he goes on to say that, obviously, this is not a 1 out of 10, the worst film of all time. I've seen some 1 out of 10 films. Pretty darn sure this one isn't from the trailer alone. And what he's saying is correct, okay? However, there is just as many 10 out of 10 votes, right? I think we know that Captain Marvel is not a 10 out of 10. I'd be willing to say that no Marvel movie has been a 10 out of 10 perfect film. So you could make the exact same argument that the people who are trying to make a statement, or other people might call them, quote, haters, are reviewing, once automatically. But nearly the exact same number of people are giving it a 10, which essentially these two cancel each other out, and it puts the movie a weighted average of 6, which is exactly where I said this film is, where it should be. It's a 5, 6 out of 10 tops, and that's if you just like popcorn films. If we look at Metacritic, a site where apparently they're not doing as much negative culling, the movie has a 27%. Out of about 600 reviews, it looks like, 470 of them are negative. But again, here you have a whole bunch of 10s and a whole bunch of 1s. 3. First, this is a review of the movie itself. I know there has been discussion outside regarding cast comments, and sincerely, I just went to the movie and forgot about those things. Okay. What matters for me is the film itself on its own merits. I'm a big fan of the comics and the MCU. So although I wasn't familiar with this character, I was looking forward to her introduction. Unfortunately, for many reasons, the movie simply is bad. and yet it had so many things in it that show it could have been so much better. So maybe there's hope for a sequel in the future, and definitely things can be changed. Let me explain. I heard the main actress was a really good actress. I can't comment on that, as this was the only movie I saw her in, and definitely want to see her other works, but now, so I can get a better opinion. But in this movie, her character was portrayed as very obnoxious, and most of the film, and I don't know whose decision that was. Maybe it was asked of her to portray it that way. I don't know. But you can see this is a very long review, and they still gave him a 3. Here's 1, 1, 0. You probably shouldn't have a 0. Where did I start with? The acting was horrible. Performance was half decent at best. The story wasn't good at all. Overall movie was boring. It was a lackluster movie. So you can see that people are not enjoying it. And again, like The Verge giving it a 90. Come on. It's not a 9 out of 10. But you could say the same thing of the New York Post giving it a 38. It's probably a 4. But again, these things happen all the time, all right? And in my experience, if you are looking at the reviews and you want to just blame the brigades, which I'm sure the articles are already being written today, so maybe by the time I get my 3-4 o'clock movie done, I'm going to have another topic, but I'll probably do that on Saturday because I know everyone wants to get out of work on Fridays and get on with their weekend, but they cancel each other out, in my opinion. The people who are just angrily voting 1 or 0, and the people that are blindly voting 9 or 10. There's very few films I've ever seen that I would give a 9 or a 10. Maybe Get Out, maybe It Follows. These were excellent films, in my opinion. Bone Tomahawk was probably an 8 or a 9. But this movie is absolutely a 4 or 5, maybe a 6, again, if you just enjoy popcorn films. But what we see here on last night, we were looking at the audience score at 59%. This morning, down to 36. I've actually tweeted out pictures of it at 34. I don't know if it actually was lower than that. But I've got a pretty interesting story to break a little bit later today about the user ratings. Obviously, people are, more than 4,000 people have voted. I would just say, if you're going to review a movie and you don't want to risk your score being removed, don't leave a 1-star and leave something constructive about it. It's more likely. The thing is that, yes, there are probably people that want to just cast their vote, and I think they should. But then there are also people who are really in here and disappointed with the film. And then there are trolls, of course. But there are trolls that leave 10s and there are trolls that leave 1s, all right? But they don't remove the 10s, obviously, right? So the 1s from trolls are just as important to level it out, right? The real audience score for Captain Marvel will probably be in the 50s when it's all said and done, because we know Rotten Tomatoes is going to continue to intervene. But I want to look at now, historically, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. For everybody that's talking about how great this film is, all these critics, right? There's 22 films in the MCU. One of them has not even been released yet, okay? So 21, right? I think they do list Endgame on here. Yeah. All right. Rotten Tomatoes lists Black Panther as 97. I think the movie was in 80s. It was good, not great. It was aggressively average. CG wasn't great. Scripting wasn't great. Costumes were awesome. But overall, I think it was... And I like Michael B. Jordan, especially in Creed. He's awesome. But this is an 80s movie. But all things equal, right? 97%. Then we have original Iron Man with a 93, still holding strong. Then you have Thor Ragnarok at 92. That's 1, 2. These are the top 3 MCU films ever. Spider-Man Homecoming, to which I was talking to people on live stream last night. I haven't even seen this movie. Haven't even seen it. Should probably see it. Maybe I'll watch it tonight instead of going to see Captain Marvel. Although I think I might be going to see Billy the Kid instead. I enjoy Westerns, even if they aren't well reviewed. Then we have Marvel's Avengers in 2012 with a 92. So we have 97, 93, 92, 92. It's just like a three-way tie for the third best Marvel film. Then we go down to Captain America Civil War. And now Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, should be... I think it was very good. I guess 91's probably fair. 91's probably fair. I liked it better than the Avengers, better than Civil War. But that's my personal opinion. I like a little more humor. It's just there. Then we have Captain America Winter Soldier. So now that's the top 10, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we go down to Ant-Man and the Wasp. Doctor Strange is one of my all-time favorite MCU films. 89, probably still fair. But you go to Ant-Man and the Wasp, that's another inflated tomato score, in my opinion. The original Ant-Man, again, in my opinion, was significantly better than Ant-Man and the Wasp. But the Wasp was in Ant-Man and the Wasp. So, you know, you get inflated scores. And then you've got Infinity War at 85. That was interesting. When I really started looking at this, I was like, dang, I thought Infinity War was pretty dang good. It did have its problems. Like, why would you're about to pull Thanos' glove off. Why would you get distracted? Just stay focused on the task at hand. The entire world is depending on you. Like, bad human decisions. But 85, again, this is like, okay, realistically, these are 8s, 9s. Every Marvel movie ever. All right. Then Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I think that's fair. It was nowhere near as good as the first. The original Ant-Man at 82, I think that's undervalued. I think it's definitely, if Ant-Man and the Wasp is 88, Ant-Man is a 90. But it probably isn't. Again, probably fair. Now we see Captain Marvel, and it is actually getting down now into the territory of Iron Man 3 and the original Captain America. That is brutal. Okay, if it drops one more point from critics, one more, it would potentially be down in the dregs here. You have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14th. It's the 14th best out of 21. Not great. Now, if you look at some of the original breakout standalones, they didn't score well either, like Captain America, the original Thor, even like the original Incredible Hulk. That didn't do well. But the interesting thing to look at is the audience score. It is by far the worst. There isn't an audience score of a single Marvel movie less than, 75? Let's see. The lowest score before this, 77, 74, 71, 70. Okay, so the absolute lowest audience score was 70, and that was the original Incredible Hulk, and that was a terrible movie. Edward Norton, awful casting. Liv Tyler, garbage. But, she's good in some things. They're actually both very good in other things. Edward Norton's pretty good in Fight Club, right? Liv Tyler, she's got great roles, but this just wasn't it for her. You have 71 or 70 is the all-time lowest, and now we have Captain Marvel at 36, basically half. Now, I predict that Rotten Tomatoes will continue to Thanos these reviews to probably get it up near 50 or 60. I'm guessing. If you look at more unbiased sites like Metacritic, it's at a 2.7. IMDb has it at just less than 6. Exclusively Games.com hasn't rated it yet, but maybe we will, probably not. So it's interesting to see. I'm shocked. I am absolutely shocked that Rotten Tomatoes has allowed this 36 to stay on all day today. I looked at my local theater. There were no sellouts today, but they were also they also had Captain Marvel on like 5 screens. There was a movie starting every 10 minutes practically, starting at 9 in the morning. I spot checked a few, no sellouts, but like the 6, 7 o'clock showings were relatively full, not sold out, but relatively full. And given the fact that, you know, I don't live in a gigantic town, have that on 4 screens, I think is probably a little bit of overkill. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how the numbers roll in. I still think it'll do 100 million this weekend. I'm curious what you think. I'm also curious where you think where this audience score is actually going to land, because Disney is not going to be happy with this. All right, we saw what happened with The Last Jedi and all the pushback and all the narrative pushing that they had over the fan reviews of The Last Jedi. And ultimately, that one ended up okay, right? Oh, it landed at 44 with 200,000 reviews. I'm surprised Rotten Tomatoes held that. Now, they gave it certified fresh at 91, which is absurd. All right. The Last Jedi was a 7 at best. And if you're a hardcore lore Star Wars fan, it was probably a 4. I mean, which is actually where the audience put it, 44% with 200,000 reviews. So it'll be interesting to see if they let this stand or if they continue to call reviews. We've got 200,000 in there with Captain Marvel. They've already culled from 50,000 earlier today to 4,000. It's going to be interesting. The point is, though, financially, you need to sell merch. You need a long tail revenue stream on these films so they stay continuing earning money. And also, we're now just months ahead of Avengers Endgame, and everybody seemingly is going to have a terrible taste in their mouth from Captain Marvel. Going into Avengers, there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that I think they're just going to go forward with the cut of Avengers they have. It's probably too late to change anything. But now this decision has hurt Avengers Endgame. I'd be willing to bet that there's at least a couple 100,000 people that chose to not go, which, you know, might mean a couple of $1 million, which isn't, I guess, huge if you're Disney. But I still think it's important that people vote with their wallet. And, you know, especially if you're really on the fence about seeing Captain Marvel, you know, consider seeing it after a week or two. You know, don't see it opening weekend. There's better movies out right now, and there's also better things to do than go to the movies this weekend. But, you know, let yourself kind of relax. You can see here in Menomonee Falls, look how many showings they have. By the way, there's all seats available. They're just grayed out because they're past when I'm recording this now. So it's going to be interesting. If Captain Marvel drops down to an 80, I don't know. I don't think it will, but I didn't think it would drop below 84. So, yikes. Disney's got to be panicking right now. Although, if I'm dead wrong and the film makes 200 million opening weekend, I guess they'll have the last laugh. We're still going to have plenty of laughs along the way. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.